this weather update, we're forecasting a significant storm that will bring wide-ranging impacts to the central and eastern United States. Alright, I'm Beckett Moore, and welcome back into another More Weather Forecast video. Happy Valentine's Day, and for a lot of people, it has been a nice Valentine's Day weather-wise here, and for a lot of people, it hasn't been the best weather-wise Valentine's Day here. You can see we do have a large storm right here with an area of low pressure into northeastern Kansas right now. Here's our area of low pressure, and you can see our classic comma head shape here with lots of rain from Minnesota all the way down towards Louisiana here, but that's not the big story. The rain isn't the big story. The big story really with this storm is the strong winds around it. You can see the brighter the color is, the stronger the winds are, and you can see we do have pretty strong winds along this storm. Just an hour or two ago, I was outside reporting on the conditions here in St. Louis, and we had, very gusty winds with some heavy rain as well. Now it's sunny in St. Louis, so that's just classic St. Louis weather. As you can see, that rain and clouds do make it out of St. Louis. But right now, you can see we do have a pretty significant storm that will continue northeastward and get its way out of here by tomorrow, really. So as we go into tonight, the strong winds that we're experiencing all around the storm currently are going to die down a bit, again, as we go into tonight. As we look towards the west, you can see we do have snow into Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. This is the start of our next storm that is going to go, like I said in the intro, into the central and eastern United States, bringing wide-ranging impact. So now that we're done with the current conditions, let's go straight into the forecast. Looking at the European model around the time I'm filming this video at 6 p.m. here on Tuesday night, looking at 9 p.m. tonight, we are going to see a big snow band develop from northern Minnesota over down towards South Dakota here. We are going to see that rain let up, especially south of Wisconsin here. And again, those winds, the tighter those black lines are right there, the stronger your winds are going to be. So especially into the Dakotas and the northern Minnesota, we could have possible blizzard conditions here with how strong those winds are, since it's so close to the center of low pressure. So that's definitely something you're going to have to watch, that blowing snow there in the northern plains. But again, south of Wisconsin, eventually those winds are going to let up as the storm goes northeastward and into the northern Midwest, in Wisconsin, in Minnesota. As we go into early tomorrow morning, you can see that is going to move off to the northeast, and those stronger winds are going to move with it. But we're still going to see, so you can see those tight lines right there, black lines right there. We're still going to see some strong winds early tomorrow morning in the Ohio Valley, into parts of the northeast, but mainly into the upper Midwest as that storm makes it on out of here. But then once this storm makes its way on out of here into Canada, looking at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, we are going to see another storm develop over the panhandle of Texas here and Oklahoma. Snow is going to develop into Colorado, into parts of Kansas, Nebraska, and New Mexico, bringing some snow to places like Denver, Colorado Springs here. And then as we go into later tomorrow, so we're looking at 9 p.m. tomorrow, here's our storm right here. It's not really showing up right now because it is going to be overall not a very strong storm, but it is going to bring impacts. Here's our storm right here, and we are going to have some severe weather sparking off from Arkansas down towards Texas and Louisiana, as well as into Tennessee and Mississippi. For tomorrow, late tomorrow, we are going to see those storms spark up, and then we are going to see that band of snow from Nebraska and Kansas into Iowa spread east as we go into looking at 6 a.m. On Thursday, not tomorrow, but on Thursday. We are going to see that, again, expand east, and we are going to see more rain and severe thunderstorms, some thunderstorms, but we will have some severe thunderstorms here as well, and that will go east into the Ohio Valley, and we do have the severe risk for Thursday. But I will get into that as we go into, the coming really seconds here. Or the next minute or so as we look at that severe weather forecast. But I'm going to keep timing this out. So by the time we go into around 12 p.m., so noontime on Thursday, we are going to see that snow into northern Missouri, that wraparound snow into places into eastern Ohio, or Iowa here, northern Illinois, and parts of Wisconsin here. And then as we go into 6 p.m. here on Thursday, eventually going into early Friday here, we are going to see this snow spread into northern Michigan here, the Upper Mid region, as well as parts of the Upper Peninsula, and this will spread up east into Canada, and this storm will make its way on out of here by the time we go into late on Thursday into Friday, and you can see we are going to have some rain develop down here through the Appalachian Mountains down towards the Gulf Coast by the time we go into late Thursday into early Friday. This will likely be non-severe. And then by the time we go into Friday, looking at around 9 a.m. here, the storm is going to make its way on out, bring some snow to northern Maine, but that won't be very significant. But it will bring down a cold blast behind it. Notice I'm not saying Arctic blast. You hear that a lot during the winter. But this isn't going to be a true Arctic blast. It is going to be a chilly start to the day. Don't get me wrong, on Friday, Saturday, and into this weekend. So you got to take that into account for your outdoor plans this weekend if you are in the central and eastern United States. But it won't be a very significant cold blast, but it will, again, bring some cold days. That storm will be all out of here by the time we go into Saturday, later on Saturday, looking at here at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And then as we keep pushing this out, again, we're starting to take this with a grain of salt because we're going, more than 100 hours out here. But by the time we go into Sunday, you can see we are going to see not very active weather for this weekend and into early next week. We are going to see that cold air kind of make its way back northward, and we're going to see some warmer air make its way back into the central and eastern United States, kind of neutralizing those cold temperatures there. And then as we go into next week, you can see we could have one storm here. Again, things are going to change, and then by the time we go into, again, late next week, so looking way too far off, looking at 200 hours off, we say a very significant storm. So this will not happen. I mean, a storm could happen, but it won't look like exactly like this here. So we just need to watch these trends. Again, this is long range. I just like to look at this to see, if we're seeing trends towards a storm that could bring snow. But I mean, a lot of people are asking in St. Louis or Indianapolis or Chicago or Oklahoma City or northern Arkansas, where is the snow? And we haven't really seen much of it this season. We're in the departure in a lot of areas like St. Louis or like, Indianapolis or like Oklahoma City, places where we usually see one or two big winter storms. We haven't seen it, and that's because we have seen a warm February, a warm January, and that will likely continue as we go into later into February. So that is a trend we do need to watch here. So now we're going to flip on over to the severe weather forecast. Like I said, timing that out there on the European model, we are expecting a severe weather risk tomorrow for Wednesday from Memphis area into western Kentucky, western Tennessee, down towards southeastern Oklahoma here, and into the Dallas region, as well as up towards Little Rock, Texarkana, and down towards Freeport there. You can see we do have a 5% chance of tornadoes, so that is a 5% chance. That's something you need to take seriously. Even if it's if it's above zero, it's something you need to take seriously. And then for the wind and hail risk, we do have 10% risk as well. So that's always something to watch with severe weather, that wind and hail. But again, we do have that 5% chance of tornadoes, so that will be something to watch. And these storms are going to fire off late tomorrow on Wednesday here. So let's time out these storms. Looking at the HRRR model, the composite reflectivity, by the time we go into 6 p.m. tomorrow, looking at 7 p.m., we are going to see some showers pop up, some thunderstorms pop up. But really, once we get into late tomorrow, so we're talking 9, 10 p.m., we are going to see these storms start to fire up. Some embedded hail in these storms will be possible, and some sub-embedded supercells, maybe some embedded just general rotation in these storms will be possible into northern Texas. So by the time we go into 10 p.m., we are going to see, some thunder boomers, maybe some strong winds, definitely some damaging winds with these storms going into Dallas, southeastern Oklahoma. And as we keep playing this out here, going into 12 a.m. on Thursday, so early Thursday, we are going to see a lot of convection here into northern Mississippi, into parts of Tennessee, into Kentucky, into southern Missouri here, and into parts of Arkansas as this kind of cluster moves into Arkansas. Again, you can see there is going to be some rotation on some of these storms, so that tornado threat is something to definitely watch here. It's not huge. Overall, this is not the end of the world. This is a slight risk of severe weather. And it's overall not looking extremely significant, but it is still something we are going to have to pay attention to if we live in these areas that are highlighted in the slight risk, and we need to be weather aware tomorrow night if we're in, southeastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, into Arkansas, into western Tennessee, western Kentucky, northern Louisiana, and northern Mississippi. You need to have a way to get warnings. You need to be weather aware tomorrow night as these storms come through, but it won't be the end of the world. We're not expecting a severe weather outbreak, really, or a tornado outbreak. Some damaging winds, a couple, storms that could have hail on them, and maybe a couple tornadoes. I wouldn't expect them to be long track tornadoes, though, are possible. So then by the time we go into early on Thursday, these storms will weaken out. So looking at around 6 or 5 a.m. here, those storms will have weakened out. So again, if you are in that slight risk, make sure weather aware tomorrow night for those severe storms. Now we're looking at the Thursday outlook, and you can see this is a very expansive outlook. Like I just said, we're looking at the European model. Thursday, we do have a risk for severe weather, and here it is, a slight risk from Ohio down through Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama here through the Gulf Coast states. A very big slight risk with the marginal risk around it. Again, this is the Ohio Valley through the Gulf states, so a large area where we are expecting storms. So since this is such a large area, we're going to have to forecast it here in sections. So we're first going to look at the southeast side of this storm. So looking at around Thursday here, going into early Thursday, so we're looking at around 6 a.m. here, we are going to see those storms start to fire off into northern Mississippi and into parts of Tennessee and northern Alabama. These initial storms will likely just be thunderstorms. Maybe some will be severe, but they won't be very strong. By the time we go into around 10 to midday here, we are going to see a line of storms develop here into Mississippi and into Louisiana here. You can see some storms right in front of this line may have some rotation on them, so that'll be something to watch. But again, this is just a slight risk of severe weather. We don't have the tornado risk, we don't have the damaging wind risk or hail risk out yet. So make sure you follow me on Twitter for those updates, as again, it's only a slight risk. I don't think it will get upgraded, but it's possible. So make sure you follow me on Twitter for those updates, as I'm not going to do a big video just for a slight risk. So make sure you go follow me on Twitter. Link will always be in the description. But still timing this out, looking at 3 p.m., we are going to see this line of storms move through Tennessee, move through Alabama here, and move through Mississippi. We are going to see damaging winds, possibly some embedded rotation here. So by the time we go into 6 p.m. here, you can see this is a pretty strong line of storms all the way down towards New Orleans, up towards Huntsville, Alabama. So again, a big line of storms. We're going to see damaging winds with this. So make sure you're weather aware tomorrow if you are in Mississippi and Alabama as this line of storms comes through, as it is going to cause some problems. Stuff out on the porch may blow around a little bit because of these damaging winds. And then looking out into later on Thursday, we are going to see these storms move into Georgia, southeastern Alabama here, but they will be weakened off a lot by this point, and we really won't have to worry about the severe weather risk. Really damaging winds is what I'm really worried about. A couple embedded tornadoes, short-lived tornadoes, cannot be ruled out. So now let's look up to the Ohio Valley. Again, this is a very expansive slight risk, and forecast their portion of this severe weather risk, this slight risk of severe weather. So looking into, again, early Thursday, so around 6 a.m. here, we are going to see these kind of clusters of storms move north here, and we can see some damaging winds, some hail with this as well. So make sure you are prepared for those winds. It will be gusty gusty to strong winds when these storms come through. And looking at early tomorrow morning, or Thursday morning here, looking at 9 a.m., we are going to see these storms into Kentucky, into Ohio, but really there's not going to be a ton of moisture to support very strong storms. So really all I worry about is some damaging winds, possibly some hail, but I don't think that'll be a big problem. And then isolated tornado here. And as we keep going into Thursday, you can see that line will develop from Kentucky into Tennessee, and you can see some of these storms do have rotation on them, likely will have rotation on them. So again, those quick spin up tornadoes here into Kentucky, into Tennessee, by the time we go into, looking at 4 to 5 p.m., so late afternoon into the evening tomorrow, we will need to be watching out for those possibly very quick spin up, short, not very strong tornadoes. But again, every tornado needs to be taken seriously. So if we do see that, make sure you have, again, a way to get warnings here. And then by the time, again, we go into later on Thursday into early on Friday, these storms will go into places in eastern Ohio, into West Virginia, down through Georgia, into Alabama, eastern Tennessee, and eastern Kentucky here. And then again, by the time we go into early on Friday, these storms will weaken out. I really think the only big threat here is going to be damaging winds, but an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. So now that we're done with that severe weather forecast, again, have a way to get warnings for Wednesday night and throughout the day on Thursday for these two slight risk areas. Now that we're done with that, let's look at the snowfall forecast, as we are going to have a big band of snow from northern Michigan into the upper peninsula of Michigan and the northern Upper region of Michigan, all the way through Colorado into northern Arizona and northern New Mexico there. You can see in the blues, the darker blues, we are expecting around 3 to 5 inches, but once you get into those light purples or light pinks there, into the darker purples, we're talking about 5 to 8, maybe up to 8 to 12 inches, especially into the mountains of Colorado, where we could even get maybe 16 to 24 inches there. So you can see pretty expansive area of snow. Again, this can just go a little bit to the north and a little bit to the south, as there isn't total model agreement, but we will see a pretty good band of snow from Colorado into northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, into Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and northern Michigan. So make sure you're prepared for this if you are in those regions, and make sure you follow me on Twitter for more updates on this, as this can change a little bit, but I think since this is National Weather Service, it does have a pretty good grip on this snowfall forecast. So that wraps up this More Weather Forecast video. Make sure you subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter for more updates on the slight risk tomorrow and this snowfall forecast. As always, stay prepared out there, and I will see you soon with more weather.